I've seen a lot of content lately about some people immigrating to the UK, and of course, inherently, you can't help but go and check the comments because you always get, I'd call idiots, just leave negative comments. Why would you want to come here? Blah blah blah. And I don't want to be rude, but often I could be rude, but I'm not going to. I was going to use certain words, but what people don't realise is, well, let's start before that. Some people are like doom scrollers. All they do is go through social media just seeking negative. And by extension, all they do is spout negative. That's all they're interested in their life. And then they feel sorry for themselves. And then they consider what they're going through is the worst thing in the world. And it can never get better. And then they blame everyone around them. Some people just doom and gloom. And by extension, then they don't like, they have problems with other people in their society. Now, one person's experience isn't necessarily another's. There's so many variables. The location you live, the people you surround yourself by, the jobs you work at, so the ones you aspire to go to, where you go and spend your time, where you spend your money, the habits you have, so the drain on your resources, your finances, whether you have a car, what sort of car do you have, how much is that costing you, whether you don't have a car and you have to sort of travel by public transport. There's so many variables, and people get pissed off. So your everybody's life is going to be incredibly different to each other. And often I just think people put too much emphasis on the location they live. It has a bearing, of course, but when I start seeing so much hate and stuff in in comments regarding like the UK, for instance, and people saying I wouldn't, why would you come here? I've done a video on it before. It's easy to say things like that. This world is not exactly a utopia right now. Maybe one day it will be. One can only dream. At the moment, no. So it's easy to look somewhere and say this is terrible. Where is better? And if you happen to find somewhere better, I, I'm going to assume that the requirements for a visa are high, so you probably wouldn't have the option even if you wanted to. And the cost of living is probably really expensive, so you couldn't. So we think about like somewhere like Switzerland, apparently incredibly expensive but beautiful. Good luck. Um, yeah. So and obviously other countries around the world, but I don't. But I think some people they're not as educated as they think they are, so they would just start spouting nonsense, and straight away you would just look at it and go, "You're talking crap." It doesn't make sense. Um, you could argue. I mean, someone might go, "Oh, I'll go Australia." Well, Australia's quite picky about who can go in, and it's not. Look, from I don't know enough about Australia, but what I do know is it's an incredibly huge landmass, half of which can't be populated because it's just the extreme weather. So it's arid, it's dry, it's hot, it's insane, and that leaves just certain areas. So you might say, "I'm going to go Australia because the weather's better," but I don't know if it's Perth or Melbourne or one of those cities. Apparently rains an awful lot. It's probably no, I don't know which one it is. Whatever one's most south, I'm guessing. Because the assumption is Australia's hot. It's tropical, really, isn't it? It's like, this is really great. It's like, but actually they have bad weather too. Um, and they have their own issues. And things cost a lot of money. You only have to look at the cost of price of things, like the dollar and things. They're always complaining that certain items get imported at extreme rates. And not everything's widely available because so a lot of things get I think like especially like video games or something, maybe it gets banned. So I don't think there's as much freedom over in Australia, but that's just my perception. I'm not deep enough in it. It's not me trying to say negative things. It's just an awareness. And I think too many people, like I said, maybe you say, "Oh, this country's nice," but okay, do they natively speak your language? Would you be able to fit in very well? Because someone who's just entirely negative their entire life, you're just going to find ways to be negative anywhere you go anyway. So even if you went somewhere else, okay, it feels like a holiday. Now, what about when you have to earn a living and the cost of living there? You're going to find a problem there. So sometimes you just go have a look at your life and think, what is it you're actually doing for your life? What are you building towards, and who do you associate yourself with? Because it tells us a lot. So I find it really sad when someone chooses to uplift their life. They decide, you know what, I see my life somewhere else. They do everything they can to make that happen, and they make it happen. And then you get someone saying, "I don't know why. Why would you bother? Try to ruin their day. Just shut up. Just shut up. It's ridiculous." People looking at me. This is the thing. Assumptions breed ignorance. And someone that sees me talking, for instance, you'd see. I know I'm a good communicator. I can articulate well. I'm intelligent. Um, and I have various skills. So I've authored 6 books at this point. There's more to come out. I see the world, I think, in a quite a beautiful way because I can see the positive, I can see the negative, I can understand the hardships, and I can understand the success. I don't get jealous or envious. I just understand innately where people are on their journey. So I'm able to see things from such different angles. I consider that a blessing. So someone hearing me talk and articulate, you probably think I'm doing better in life than I am. And I'm not someone who pretends of anything. And I think in a sense, that's the beautiful part of my journey is that I've experienced so much. Um, if we just talk briefly here, like I've got two half sisters, a half brother. I've got stepbrothers. Don't talk to my stepbrothers anymore, just because they're the ones that distance themselves from the rest of the family. There's dynamics involved within that. I don't now talk to my half sisters because I don't like their personalities, don't know what they stand for. I talk to my half brother. By extension, his son, my nephew, I get on really well with. We have a lot of laughs. So there's dynamics in every family. But sometimes you just got to start deciding where you want. Now, my mum was in a council home when I was born. She then met my stepdad, who was actually successful. He was successful in the career he was doing, electrician. He's worked his way up. He ended up becoming a director of the company. But because there was a big family, it cost an awful lot. So he was always having to get in debt. And we never had like loads, It wasn't a case of that at all. Um, so I've seen the side of working your ass to death, and not having much to show for it, in all honesty. He managed to have holidays regularly. He always managed to treat himself to a car he wanted, but it was always financed and things like this. But I just saw how exhausted he was and how much, he focused on work. Family was important to him, but work was one of his big things too. And I just looked on and just thought, it's not worth the sacrifice to me, that level of work. You're coming home and he's just going asleep immediately. Things like this, and not doing much at the weekend. So effectively, life is all about just sitting at home. But then I'm a homebody too, but I'm not. It's just an awareness of when you see people's ways of life, it makes you reflect upon your own. And what I'm saying is, a lot of people, they have no awareness, so they play the victim all their life, but without changing anything. If you don't like where you're at, think about where you're associating yourself. How do you spend your day? Because that's going to have a bearing, isn't it? If you keep going to hotspots where there's maybe crime, where there's issues with racism and things, if you go, any country is going to have issues with this. You go to bad places, you're going to see bad things. So don't be so surprised when your life isn't particularly nice. Now, imagine this, live a simpler life. I mean, I'm far more simple, believe me. I hibernate like a bear in the winter, so I don't see much in the winter period. So if it gets terrible outside, it's terrible outside, And that's just how I am. I don't care. I'm not here to copy anyone. I'm here to live my life on my terms. When the summer comes, I love it. I love going on road trips. I love the hot weather. The warm weather. Spring's my favourite time of the year. It's all coming up. It's great. Life opens again. I freaking love the UK. This is my home. This is what I'm passionate about. If not, I'd be looking at angles to get out of England. No, I love England. I think all of it, some of us, most of us, have a soul attraction to somewhere. Like it feels home. And it's not because I was born there. It's just I love the culture. I love the heritage. I love the democracy that UK stands for. I love the little things. Let's see, the ice cream van by the seaside. Little things like that. For me, that's home. That's what I like. I've visited America, and believe me, I feel comfortable in America too. But I think even if I was in America, I'd still miss, just the style of the UK, the simplicity of it all. So the UK is home to me. Now I understand some people there's a lot of racism in this world as well. But what I want to say to that is, if someone has, because I see it all the time where people have issues with others entering the country and all this, it's like, get a grip. This isn't your country. You was just born here. It's your privilege that allows you to judge other people. And that pisses me off, because you're privileged because you was born in a certain country. You now think you're the king of that country, pretty much. It's like, have a reality check. Maybe try to relocate to another country and you'll be the fish out of water. And then you're going to have to see if other people accept you entering their country. And then see what it's like. It's empathy. Put yourself in someone else's shoes. Put it into perspective. You could argue, oh, you're not affected by it then. The neighbour behind me, I'm pretty sure, is Nigerian. I've seen them all dressed up in their fancy colours, like really bright pink and things. I was my assumption Nigerian. I don't know, but it's definitely African. And they have their music really loud sometimes, and I get really pissed off of it, in all honesty. But that doesn't make me racist towards other ethnicities. I've got nothing against their culture. I've got nothing against the colour. I've got nothing against it at all. I just think sometimes we should just be looking to, merge better together. There should be more. That's why I keep saying, like, we should all be blending more. And I think that's where the problem is, where the cultures are not blending well enough. And I think, so there's less integration. But that division between people where they keep judging each other and spewing negativity, it doesn't help people blend in society. Of course, some people don't. And in this situation, I don't suppose they do. But it drives me nuts. But it doesn't mean that everybody from Nigeria, for instance, behaves like that. It doesn't mean they're doing it to be rude. It's their culture. And this is what I was saying. I think people looking at me, maybe you have assumptions based on who I am, my lifestyle. Maybe I'm hiding. I don't hide anything. What would be the point? If you see anything I do, everything's authentic and transparent. I've got nothing to hide. I've already shown like my green screen in another video. You could see it clearly. I do my content in my bedroom. I'd love to have a studio. Of course I would. If I had a studio, I probably wouldn't have the green screen behind me because I could have really nice background that's natural. But some of us have to put a green screen up to try to remove the things that are behind us. In the summer, there's not enough airflow where I live, so it gets really hot and arid in the summer. So I don't know how much content I'll be able to create once the summer kicks in because I can't sit. I'll be sweating in this room. I'd have fans blowing all over me, and it gets too uncomfortable. That's the environment I have to live. I live in social housing, so I know what it's like to live in a community where people maybe don't have so much. Wouldn't necessarily say poor, because I think that's a misconception. In the UK, one of the worst things in the UK is stagnated wages. It's not good enough. You don't see people thriving, which is why people look over at America as the American dream. But there's an awful lot of poverty in America as well. The way I see it is the poorest in America is far poorer than the poorest in the UK. But the wealthiest in America is far wealthier than the wealthiest in the UK. So there's a huge discrepancy in the US between poor and rich. But of course, everybody likes to look at the rich side. But I'm very aware of how bad it would be if you'd struggled in America. But in the UK, it's really hard to be successful financially. You only have to look at job listings. It doesn't vary too much between even industries and things. It's just not that good. It's maybe, there's going to be people on a higher echelon. But for the most of us, if you're looking at traditional work, you're looking around about 25 grand to maybe 32. I don't know if it goes lower anymore, but realistically, that's where you're looking. There's some people on £80,000 a year, some people on 100,000. Wonderful for them. Wonderful for them. The majority of us are going to be on the lower band, and that's how it is. But that still allows you to be able to afford your bills and live, but just maybe not have too many luxuries. But that's such as life. So I'm in a social housing, and that means I don't own the home, but I get it at a cheaper rate, and it's long term. So as long as I'm a good tenant, I'm fine, and it's long term. So I've got issues around the home. I don't talk about this on camera. I've got bigger things to talk about. If we're going to talk about it, I've already had the housing out about my home 3 or 4 months ago, I think it was, because there's certain things just shifting with the floor, and I'm not happy because it's pushing my laminate flooring in the front room, living room. It's pushing it apart a bit, and they're lifting in areas, and it's up and down. So I think it's subsidence. They don't think it is at the moment. My kitchen's even worse because it's like there's barely a flat area. It goes up and down. There's mounds. There's dips. It's like pisses me off. I hate being in my kitchen now. But it's not my home to repair, so it's not for me to do it. But it is my responsibility to inform them. So I take it all serious. It's like I'm telling you. So if there's ever an issue, you can't say I didn't follow my duty of care in telling you that there was an issue. So I report things when it needs reporting. That's up to them. My boiler's dripping water at the moment. I've had to put a pot underneath because they've given me a 2-week date to fix it. Now I'm not a plumber. I'm not going to press about with gas and electrics. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm not qualified for it. I take things serious. Safety, I think, is really important. It may be something as simple as replacing the pipe, the little tiny plastic pipe. There might be a washer needed in there. I don't know. I'm not taking it apart. But that's getting fixed soon. So there's certain things that would get fixed for free because I'm a tenant rather than a landlord. But it does mean there are other issues with that. So some people will go, "Oh, you're lucky." Well, not really. I can't fix my floor. People don't understand that. It pisses me off so much. Yeah, there's certain things. It's quite. Sometimes the roads can be noisy. Things bother me a lot in terms of noises and little things. When I moved in, for instance, the flooring was never flat. It's been slanted a little bit. I complained about that, and they said, "Oh, it's just unfortunate. It's just how it was built," because they know it's going to cost a fortune to put it right. I don't have the money to put it right, and it's not my property to put right. So I'm just really what I'm trying to show there is I know what it's like to live in a low income environment. So I think if anyone thinks maybe you won't understand. Oh, I understand. I understand, but it's about being more tolerant of people and look at your lifestyle. So like my lifestyle isn't the same as people that complain, for instance, and maybe the people relocating to the UK aren't going to be living the same lifestyle as those that complain either. Maybe you're looking for a simple lifestyle that others consider boring, but who gives a shit? If you're stressed all the time and you're not happy and you consider other lives boring, maybe have a reflection upon your life and maybe say it's not worth what you're doing if you're not happy. It's thick. God damn, people are just annoying me because I just see comments all the time, just shit plastered everywhere. Like, and it's like you're just trying to be negative about your country, and if you don't like it, it's not to say just get out of it, but it's like maybe just look towards somewhere that you would be happy if it's really that bad. Because I guarantee you're going to struggle to look for somewhere on a map and find happiness. You know, you've got to try and find it at home, and if you can find some semblance of peace, and then you decide, you know what, there's different part of a culture, or there's a different lifestyle, or there's a different weather environments, whatever it is, yeah, you know that you'd maybe rather live by. Then maybe maybe give yourself options in future. But if you're miserable in your daily life, not necessarily changing locations isn't necessarily going to fix it. You've got to look at your patterns of behavior. So me personally, I'm a self-reflective person. So I'm always analysing why you're not happy with this, what would make you happy, what do you want, blah, blah, blah. I was brought up living by the seaside. Now, I didn't live directly on the beach, but it was in a seaside town. So it took me maybe 15 minutes to get to the beach or something, you know, because of traffic and things. But that was nice. And it was like, I lived there my whole life. Then I relocated up north a little bit more, so a bit more landlocked. It'd take me maybe an hour and a half to get to the beach now. So it's less convenient. So I know in myself, I actually do like to be by the coast. I really find that therapeutic. I find it healing. I find it really, really calming. And it makes me happy, especially in the better weather. But even in the autumn, I'll be out more in those environments than I am in the landlocked environments. So I hibernate far more if I'm landlocked because there's less places for me to frequent that I want to go to. So yeah, but again, people that are not happy, I guarantee you, they're probably not even thinking of this sort of stuff. They don't even do that. They're too busy partying or something, or just, again, putting themselves in places where there's a low vibrational people, there's a lot of not drama, and guess what? They're unhappy. I'm a more simple person. I'm just a far more simple person. I'm a homebody. I like to be at home. But then I like to do the simple things. I love a good road trip. So I like to just be out. I like to have that. Just have somewhere to go in the hotter weather. It doesn't matter so much where it is. It's just, I just enjoy the journey, really. And I do like to be by the sea. I like to spend some time by the sea, like going to cinema. I'm just a basic person. I'm not like, if you look at the places I'm interested in frequenting, it's not really full of doom and gloom. It's picturesque. It's beautiful. I like to go into the countryside as well. So where am I seeing this intolerance and this horrible UK that some people keep shouting about? If you live in the city centres or you just keep floating into city centres, you're going to find issues any city centre you go to around the world. I don't think it matters what city you go to. You know, all the capitals, for instance, are going to have crime. They're going to have issues. So it's like population density perhaps is the problem. Put yourself, think of going to places that are not highly populated, and you'll have a better experience. And I think that equates to anywhere you travel. It's just common sense. If you're not happy where you live, move. No one's going to say, look, it's not. Look, people say, no one's saying move today, but make action to move. It's not hard. You can start making a plan and say, like, in a year or two, I'm going to move. Now you've got a goal in mind. Now you're setting the wheels in motion. You know it's going to be a process. You know you can't do it today. But you have your ambition set on that, and you just start building towards it. So it becomes less about the environment you're in and the expectations and demands, because now you're planning for it. So maybe you have to sacrifice to gain it, but eventually you gain your freedom because you get to live somewhere you want. And that's what a lot of these people have done. They've decided to sacrifice for it. Then it costs a lot of money to come from the US because you have to pay your NHV surcharge up front. So effectively, because you may or may not use the healthcare in the UK government make you pay a surcharge for that service, so you're covered. Think of it like you're paying health insurance, but you're not really. You're just paying it directly to the government, and it means you can now use the service. So although it seems a lot, I'm sure healthcare in America is expensive too. So it's probably not as bad as you think. It's just a cost that doesn't seem particularly fair. I could talk all day about immigration, about living in the UK, about the I think the pitfalls of maybe looking at other countries as a dream. You just, like, for me personally, I'd rather be in an English speaking country just because I'm English speaking. I'm not multi-language. I'm not bilingual. So it does restrict me. But a lot of countries do talk like English, for instance. But I like going on holiday as much as the next person. But I never have that notion that I hate the UK. I might hate my home sometimes because of the issues I have surrounding my home. Like, there's cracks down the side of the walls. But they're not the subsidence cracks, so that's the problem. They're not them diagonal ones. They just go across the frames and things like that. So I'm like, okay, I'm monitoring it. And I've got that with the floor issue as well. It's irritating the shit out of me, to be totally honest. But then I'm like fortunate to have a house. You know, I have a house. I'm very fortunate, 2-bed house. But that's took a whole journey. If anyone listened to my journey, you know. So it's like, as much as I get fed up, I also am aware of how fortunate I am because I've had it worse. But I also strive for better. So I'm someone that follows my dreams, though. You know, like, I don't think this is my life forever. I think what I do will catapult me further forward. But at the same time, I'm still in the present situation. So this is what I'm dealing with, and I still love my country. You know, you can't change the weather. You know, and the places I frequent, there's no issues. Like if I was to go cinema, there's not going to be any issues at the cinema that I would go to. Now, okay, some other places again depends what town you live in, I guess. Where I go for the cinema, it's quiet. It's quite big, so I'd have no problem going there. If you talk about, I get a lot. I hear other people who have complain about deliveries all the time. I never have problems with my delivery drivers, whether it's a courier, whether it's food being delivered, or whether it's or groceries being delivered. People are usually quite polite where I live, so I'm and it's quite a populous area where I live. I'm not like somewhere off the beaten track here. I haven't had any issues in that regard. I think sometimes how you treat people sometimes it's how people treat you is a reflection of how you treat them. I think, and I don't know if I come across as quite stoic sometimes, very direct and opinionated. Maybe I do, but in my daily life, I'm respectful of people. I'm always happy. I'm always thankful. So I'm always like really polite to people when they do a delivery, whatever the delivery is. You know, I'm not arrogant. I'm not rude to anybody. And I just think sometimes the way people treat you is a reflection of the way you're treating them. And I think if you live your life with hate towards other races, religions, ethnicities, whatever it is, I think you're going to find there's a reaction to you in response. Now, I have problems with certain areas of life, and I talk about it quite publicly and openly, and I don't really care people's reactions because it's what I think about things. But it's educated thought, and it comes from experience. And I think too many people, again, I say, they hide behind societal impacts, all these different things. So sometimes, let's say your family are racist, and you just become racist by extension, and you just think everybody's the same. So you start spouting loads of hateful negativity, and you think everybody's following you because we all agree. No, we don't. No, we don't, because we're not in that bubble. And sometimes you've got to think for yourself and not just follow the crowd, because that's something as well. You know, people it's that people do that all the time. They follow trends, and then they think it's cool to be part of the crowd, and it's not really. It just looks stupid. To the educated people, you look stupid. Now, I consider myself self-educated, so I'm educated. I consider myself educated because I'm intelligent, but it's self-educated from life, my own experiences, and my own perceptions of the things going on around me. So, I'm not someone that would convince myself the sea is purple just because everybody else says the sea is purple. I sort of look myself and say, make my own decisions. And I think too many people, like I say, they jump on the bandwagon and they love the hate train. Of course, they love the hate train, but it's not going to do anything good for your life being like that at all. But yeah, like I say, if you've got an issue, it's just like maybe have a look around the world and think whereabouts you would really find comfort, because the world isn't perfect and you have to make peace with that. And I think sometimes be a little bit more accommodating to other people, maybe bring you peace. So it's better humility, I think, goes a long way. Personally, that's what I think. So I want to show people, really, a little few examples while I'm doing this, because I meant to do it earlier. Whoops. Where were we going? So this guy is on TikTok, and he's been doing the videos for quite a while, talking about his journey from, I think he's in Texas. It's the US, in Texas. He's been planning to relocate to, I think it's Felix. Is it Felixstowe? Folkestone. In all honesty, I get confused by the two because they sound similar to me. So you've got Felixstowe and Folkestone. One's near Dover, like the south, the English Channel, where they do the ferries. And the other one's where they do a shipping port in Suffolk. If I got the map up, I'd go, yeah. But my own fault. Yeah, okay, I do get confused.
So immigration update. Last week, my caseworker sent me the formal application for approval. We submitted it.
So I'm not going to go through the long-winded process of this one, actually, but he's very open and transparent about his journey. So he submitted the payments. He had a problem with payments going through at first because of fraud detection on his card, and then he's finally got it working. So he's gone through the first phase where he's paid the NHS surcharge. So he's one step closer to getting to the UK. Now he's just got the visa fees to do. But I don't think he was planning to get here till June. So he's calm. He knows the plan. He's got it all sorted out. And that's the thing. He's done it in stages, and he's shared the journey. So yeah, that's him. And some people think that's crazy. Why would you relocate from Texas in America to the UK? Again, everybody has their own, like, where you find comfort, where you find familiarity, and the lifestyle you want. There's plenty of examples that goes each way, and I can see the beauty in both. And I think Where does your heart call you? So this woman, she said she mainly did it for a child. So I think she said she was in Seattle, and it was about the gun control really, and the fact that you're scared for your child at school. And her sister lives in the UK, and asked her sister whether she worries about her child going to school. And she said never. And for her, that wasn't the only reason, but it was a big reason for her to decide.
England is out here raising some tough kids.
Oh, this video is quite good. So she's talking about the fact that in America they pander to people too much. So they'll give you an award for everything, tell you're great. In the UK, you have to earn it, and you have to be prepared to be to lose as well. So that creates character. So, like you say, it benefits to both. But I think it's about being realistic, because either way, you're going to be thrust into realities quite heavily, really. So, I mean, I know we're going off topic a little bit here, but I watched something with Eddie Hearn, the boxing promoter, and he was talking about his daughter. She's been in private school, and he likes her to spend time in the gym, because he thinks about, in terms of like life, you're going to learn life lessons and things. You're going to learn a lot more in a gym with everyday people than you would really people that have been closed off to society. And I completely agree with that. But again, it's got the benefit really of seeing both sides of the world, and I think that's always great. It's about if you're down to earth though, and you have humility, then you can literally use it all to mold your character, build knowledge and wisdom, and you become a powerhouse. But some people do get lost in their heads, I think, in status.
In Seattle, my kids, when we moved, were 4 and 6. And my 6-year-old did a season of soccer, and at the end, everybody got a trophy. No matter what they did, at the end of it, everybody who participated got a trophy or a certificate or some sort of recognition. If you went to a party, everybody got a party bag to take home. We moved here, and about a week later, my son was invited to a birthday party. They did party games, and in the party games, kids got eliminated, and they got out, and they didn't win anything. And you know what? I love it. It's teaching them in a very gentle way that the world is not fair, and that they're not always going to win everything, and that they can be happy for their friends that do. Good job, England. I love this change.
So that's a good video. Before I get on to the last one, there is a guy, and he loves like football, soccer. He's absolutely mesmerized by it, and he's an American, and he's visited the UK, and he's decided this is where he wants to be. Now, he's seen it for himself, so he's been here. He loves it. He loves the culture, and I think that's what I'm talking about. Like, some people are born to be somewhere else, and that's figuring it out. Now, I hate borders. Now, some people are different like that because they're racist and they don't like all this. Me, I think people should just be able to integrate and be nomadic. It shouldn't be like, I can't go here because there's rules. It's like, this person shouldn't have to be bound by rules. Let them follow their heart. But I think he's a bit naive, and I'm not sure how his journey's going to go. That's why I think the Texas guy has got it all planned. He's thought about the process. He's married to an English woman anyway, like an English partner. So yeah, it makes it obviously more a simpler transition. But the other guy is a bit in his head, and I think maybe he's going to get himself in trouble because he's talking about coming to the UK. Because at first you thought he had it all planned out. Then when he started talking, you go, wait, he ain't got a clue. So he's saying he wants to come to the UK, and he's going to go on a tourist visa for 6 months, because we can get a 6-month visa because of the connection with America. So like the UK citizens can do the same. You can go to America for 6 months. You have to do a certain visa for that. So like you can't do that the electronic one, that one you do quickly for a holiday, that only covers you up to 3 months, I think it is. Well, 180 days. I think it is 3 months, isn't it? I don't know. Oh, no, I'll get lost. But anyway, forget about it. Getting numbers all messed up, yeah. 90 days, of course. But yeah, it only covers you for that. So you would have to follow the proper process if you want a more of a longer term stay. So he's talking like that, but then he's also talking like, when I get there though, if I'm going to see if there's any like opportunities for jobs and stuff, and if I can get a job, it's like, wait, well, you have to be very careful with the visa you're applying for, because you're talking about working. It's like that goes against the tourist visa. You can have interviews and things, but you just got to be careful. He's talking about actually working though, and it's like, wait, you can't do that. So he wants to work in the sports industry. So I think the danger is he's already imagining what that life would be, and he's like, I think, romanticizing it too much. So he sees himself working for a sports team, which a lot of people would love to do, even those that already live here. And so he tends to do their social media for them. They've already got social media though. Find a sports team that hasn't got social media content. You've already got social media managers, but because in their head that's what they want to do, they think they can do it. And they're saying, once I arrive, give me a chance. Someone invest in my visa process. and I'll be doing it within a month or something. And I thought, that's cuckoo land. You've only got 12,000 followers, I think it was. Like, I thought based on how he's talking, he'd have like a lot. That's not enough. Like, that's never what I got. That's crap. It's not even that much. It's just irrelevant. It's like, but that's not. You can't expect to go to another country and be a social media guru when you're not even a social media guru in your own country. But he thinks because he's in a foreign country that he would be a different perspective on the other side. It's like, that's great, but you'd have to find an affiliate before you go, surely. I don't want to go too much of that, but it's like planning in advance is going to be the smart way to go. Did he know everything? This one's actually from Australia, which was really nice. So she's put moving to the UK from Australia, exactly what I needed. I'm not going to go through the comments. Some people are actually beautiful. You know, like this idiot here who says, UK is the worst place to live. Why would you go there? So you always get these cretins. They should just go back to their wormhole. Yeah, so anyway, forget it. Some people are just negative by nature.
I'm so happy.
And she's talking about her experience. So who gives a shit what an idiot in the comments says? She's talking from her own experience. She's relocated from Australia to the UK. She's living the experience. And then we get to see how she thinks of it. And she's been crying after my move to the UK.
I want to cry because I'm just so happy living my happy little life. And oh my God, no. Moving to England was like probably one of the best things I could have done for myself at this stage in life. And now that the sun is actually up by like 6:30 or up enough by 6:30, I'm just feeling so much more comfortable, and I don't know, I'm happy with where I am in life, and I do just want to cry because I'm so happy, and I think it's been a while that I've like wanted to cry out of pure fucking happiness. So oh my gosh.
You know what I'm noticing in the background there? Oh, you didn't see it. Crap. I'll put it on again. I'll play it again. But what I noticed in the video was the background, because obviously, you know, I'm familiar, obviously being in the UK, we know the things. You can see the old stone. At least I can think it's old. But anyway, either way, it gives it the historic look. And I think compared to, not Europe, because Europe has a lot of history, just like the UK does. But I think a lot of places around the world, they probably don't, or they've reset their identity. And I think that's what's prevalent. So if you was if you was to go to America, for instance, I don't think you'd find buildings of the same age as the UK, and that's a given. And we have, like, America has some beautiful scenic places. This isn't saying anything negative in that regard, but I think sometimes it's just that historic vibe just makes you feel at peace. You know, I don't know what it is, but it's like you just feel part of something. And I think sometimes there's smaller roads where they're a little windy. I think it just gives it character. It's all these little nuances that go into it. But again, it's going to depend on where you live and the experiences you're having. Like I went to where the King's Retreat, Sandringham. I'm not a royalist. I don't care one way or another. But it's such a beautiful place. And again, it's going to be where you frequent. But it's absolutely beautiful. And it's up to us where we want to visit. And I think that expands your mind around the country a bit before you start saying the country's bad because you haven't left your town. You know, it gets really frustrating. I will show, though, because I think she deserves to be seen here.
I'm so happy. Like, I want to cry because I'm just so happy living my happy little life. And oh my God, no. Moving to England was like probably one of the best things I could have done for myself at this stage in life. And now that the sun is actually up by like 6:30 or up enough by 6:30, I'm just feeling so much more comfortable, and I don't know, I'm happy with where I am in life, and I do just want to cry because I'm so happy, and I think it's been a while that I've like wanted to cry out of pure fucking happiness. So
I think she's a bit like me, to be honest. I don't know how long she's been here, but it does get really demoralizing in the winter. I hate it so much. It's dark all the time, you know. It gets dark too. It's dark. It only gets bright about freaking 9 a.m. in the winter, whatever the hell it is. It's so demoralizing. Then it gets dark at like 3. So it's not long enough. And I think I've got a feeling she's probably been here a little while, and then she just woke up to nearly coming into spring. It's obviously not spring yet, but it feels it a little bit. And it's like the weather's getting a bit better now. It's like, this is nice. And I think it just makes you just feel happy. Anyway, hopefully this is covered a little bit. I mean, I'm not going on a freaking full depth detail here, but I think people just need a reality check. And I think sometimes they just consider everything a paradise away from home without realizing it's like where you invest it is where your paradise will be. And it's like figure that out. So if someone says, "Oh, this country's crap," and things like that, it's like maybe look at what you're doing in that country and stop blaming everything else. You know.